Everyone, and welcome to the final webinar. Today we're going to be discussing, changes we're making to custom reporting in the next version that's due to come out, 4.2. So what I'd like to start off with is just to remind you, keep in mind what we're looking at in this session is not even in beta, okay? However, since many of these changes that we're making in 4.2 are driven based on feedback from our business partners, we wanted to give you a heads up and kind of show you what it's going to be like and what those changes are going to incorporate in version 4.2. Now, much of what you're going to see will be the same. However, since it is not even in beta, some of it may change. But in any event, we wanted to give you a heads up as to what was coming and kind of show you what we're doing with regard to custom reports. All right, so let's talk about custom reports just for a moment here and just kind of bring everybody up to speed with what you already know and what's going to be coming. So let's talk SAE first. Typically, in SAE, you'd customize one of your reports based on one of ours. That process would basically incorporate you creating your report, right? You'd then install that report through the Install Custom Reports function in SAE. I'm sure many of you are very familiar with it. You'd then, either at install time or through the Edit Custom Reports function, you would go in and define the print UI parameters, right? Now, some of you may remember, you'd go in there, we had control switches, range switches, and those optional field parameters you could define down at the bottom, right? You could, at the bottom of that form, there were about 5 of them, right? So you would go through, define those with the thought in mind that you've already designed the Crystal report to receive the data that those parameters are telling MySys to send over to Crystal, okay? So you define those parameters. That tells MySys what information to send over to Crystal. You still have to customize the Crystal report to know what to do with that data, right? So if you took our stock status report, for example, and said, hey, I also want to filter the results based on the extended description. You'd create a parameter that allowed for the user to enter in the extended description, add the extended description to the report in Crystal, and then through Edit Custom Reports, you'd have a parameter where they can enter that information. In that case, you'd probably use the opt FLD parameter, right? That would send it over to Crystal. Crystal would then interpret that and then filter the results. All right, that's SAE. So let's talk SBM for a moment. Some of you who haven't really got into Crystal reports with SBM yet, this may be new. However, in SBM, you initially and currently really have 2 options to design a custom report. Okay? The first would be direct access. Okay? And all direct access means you design the report in Crystal, okay? That report uses or reports off the database directly, okay? It can be launched within MySys, but all the parameters are defined in Crystal. There are no selections from the print UI. You literally would come into, well, actually the flow there would be, you would literally create your report, copy it into, there's actually a user custom folder under the reports directory, and that would make it so that it would show up in this report group here called custom report, right? And then what would happen is the user could come in here and they would just print it. They'd have an empty UI here, and they'd click print. Crystal would then launch that report based on whatever logic was designed into it. Okay, it's direct access. It's being launched from MySys, but all of the logic to determine what shows up on it is entirely driven by Crystal. Okay? Now, if you wanted to use one of our print UIs, okay, you'd have to know how to program XML, okay? Because in SPM, as some of you may have noticed, we now use data sets to report from, okay? The data sets and the UI, the print UIs that you've all seen and are probably pretty familiar with by now, that's all driven by the XML file, okay? Now, some of you may have also noticed if you try to get into that, it can be somewhat complicated, okay? And it's certainly different than what everybody's used to in working with custom reports in SAE, okay? So, for example, take that same stock status, right, with extended description. Let's say you wanted to create or design a stock status report that was driven with the extended description in mind, okay? The first thing is, if you want to add a field to an existing report in MySys, and the XML file isn't bringing that field in, the data set's not going to have it. So the first thing to check would be in XML, does the data set or is the data set going to pull in that field so that I can report from it? If it's not, you have to modify the XML file, add the fields you want, so that now your data set for your custom report is going to have that field so you can put it into the Crystal report. Okay? Now, obviously, extended description is a pretty basic report, and a lot of us would be able to figure that out even if it was trial and error by looking at the existing XML file and then customizing ours or your custom one to add that field in. You could probably feel your way through that. But as you can imagine, knowing that you have to drive all this information by adding to the XML file, if you're not comfortable with that, it can get pretty complex. Okay, so what the idea is here in 4.2 is that we would create an interface that made it so that you can generate a direct access report, right, or design a direct access report in Crystal, but still give you the ability to use the direct access, which we're all used to, and then give you the ability, just like in SAE, to control the print UIs. Define parameters in MySys so that now you can design your own direct access report and still come up with a print UI so that when the user goes to utilize it, they can plug some parameters in, send those over to Crystal. Okay, so what we're going to be looking at today is the function that's coming up in 4.2 that's going to give you that ability to set up print UIs, define parameters, okay, that are going to assist you in creating a nice, clean UI that the user can use to define item ranges, location ranges, make selections like the item types, things like that, that will tell MySys SPM what data to send over to Crystal, okay, and you're then going to design Crystal just like you did in SAE. Design your report to know what to do with those parameters, okay? Now, this is not a custom reporting tool, okay? This simply controls the UI that the user is going to use to pass the information to the Crystal report you designed, exactly like Edit Custom Reports did in SAE. All right, so let's take a look at that. So there will be some changes under the reports function. We'll talk about some of these buttons here. But some of you may have noticed I'm in 4.2, okay? So stock status, okay, we're going to click New. All right, and this is what it looks like to start out. Okay, so let's talk about this for a minute. The Properties tab, okay, and this is actually another advantage over the direct access. As I just mentioned, using direct access made it so that literally any of those reports show up in the custom. Okay, so you'd have to define those with names that made sense. Again, you still get no print UI. The Properties section up here, the first selection you get under Custom Reports is to tell us what group you want the report to be listed under. Okay, you can create a new one. Okay, or if you've created custom ones, you could delete them. But you select the group you want. Okay, and then you give it a name. Okay, you can type the name in. In our case, well, actually, we'll walk through an example in a moment. We'll just talk about these for right now. So you give your report a name, how you want it to appear in the reports tree over here, okay, where the Crystal report file is, and that's the report you designed, okay, what icon you want this report to list. So, for instance, you'll notice here most of them have this icon. Item where used is a little bit different. Item movement's a little bit different. You have a whole selection of icons you can choose from this panel tree selection. Okay. Documentation, if you had notes regarding this report, you put those in here. Okay. For the purposes of our discussion today, we're going to be dealing with create report using direct database access. Okay. This selection down here is to assist with helping you in the XML creation, but that's again using data sets, which is entirely different, and that part's still under review. So for our discussion today, we're talking about this top one here, Crystal reports using direct database access. All right. So let's go ahead and create a name here. We'll call it test stock status. All right. The name in the report tree we'll call test stock status. Keep it simple. All right. We'll browse to our report file. Okay. Then we're going to click Next. Okay, so this opens up a couple of tabs, all right? So let's talk about the UI Parameters tab. All right, this allows you, and this is the interface that's going to allow you to define the parameters that are going to get passed to Crystal, okay, when they print this report. Okay, this is where we're talking about item ranges, location ranges, selections like that. Okay, so right now, and this is another difference, you were locked in SAE, right? You had a predefined parameters you had to use when you designed your reports. We gave you those 5 optional ones, right? Those were OPT FLD, OPT FLTO FLD. You know, I'm going off memory here, but field 1, field 2. You can call the parameters whatever you want, okay? This is going to tell you what the parameter needs to be over in Crystal. Okay, so in my case here, let's start with from item. Okay, we've got some types. Okay, so let's talk about the types here. Input field based on a table. Okay, that allows you to define the field value based on a database field. Okay, that's pretty cut and dry. The combo box basically allows you to define a combo box. Okay, think of item types, right? We might want to type in red, white, and blue selections over here. Okay. The 2 input fields for range. Okay, this allows you to do a from and to field for your item range, a from and to field for your location range. Right. Checking this box over here opens up a finder. So once I tell the system what table to use, it's going to populate over here, right? Or I can change it. Okay, that's what's going to drive the finder that they'll get when they go to bring up the finder in that range. Okay, current date is pretty obvious. This passes Crystal the current date. Relative date, think of passing the date based on a plus or minus days. Think of some of the selections that we have in the batches now, or in the dashboard. If you'll remember, we said, hey, relative date plus or minus 5 days, right? That's what we're talking about here. So if you want to pass a relative date. Label only allows you to define just a label on the print UI. Okay, so if you need to break up 2 selections or you want a little spacer in there, play with the label. Okay, just provides a little text on the print UI. Current user passes the current user, and a checkbox allows you to have a checkbox. That's basically sending a true or false over to Crystal. Okay, so for our case, let's just go with, we'll add some parameters to our report. So let's do from item. We'll do field based on a table. The caption we'll say is item number. Okay, we'll make it required. The table we want, is MI item, and the field we want is going to be item number. Okay, so we'll go item number. No default value. We do want a finder. Okay, so over here, we'll select MI item, and we'll return item number. Okay, so we'll click add. All right, and my parameter gets added up there. If I wanted to delete it, I could click it and delete it. We're going to keep it, though. So we'll add a new one, and let's call this one XDesk. We'll stick with my incredibly useless stock status that sorts off the extended description. So XDesk, based on a table. This one we're not going to use the finder. We'll just say X description. Okay. Then we'll go MI item. And the field is extended description. Okay. We'll add that one. And let's add one more in. We'll go with loc. Okay, based on a table. Call this location. Did I already go past it? I think I did. Okay, location, and then loc ID. Okay, and we'll add this. Now, for your own information, let's say you're in this function and you have questions about what a field name is or what tables are. This data table info can be launched, and you can actually select. This contains the file and field information, right, for SBM. So if you had questions about what field was located where or what field you were looking for in a certain table, you could select the table, print it out, get yourself a printout. You can get the field you were looking for. Okay, so that'll be available to you right on this form. Okay. So we'll add this one. Actually, we'll keep a finder in there. All right, so we'll save this. Okay. Now, once I save it, note that there's an export button here. Okay? The export button allows you to export out these parameters so that you could take this with you, right? Bring your report file. Let's say you're running reports locally from the reports folder. You could visit clients and just import this in. And that'll bring these parameters right in. You still have to copy the report to the right directory. But you can import these in by clicking, I'll show you in a minute. File import now has a reports selection, and that would allow you to import the parameters you define so you don't have to recreate this on every machine. Okay? So all right, so we'll go here, we'll go next, and now we can test our input. Now, one of the cool things about this is you now have parameters over here on the right that will assist you, especially in a case where you're making a number of parameters. This will assist you in going into Crystal because now you know which ones you need to create over in Crystal if you haven't done it already. Okay? So for instance, from item, XDesk, and loc, let's bring up the Crystal report I've got. So if I go into reports, record selection, okay, I've already gone through and created the parameters from item, loc, and XDesk, all right, in preparation. So I have these already created. My record selection formula is defined. So my Crystal report's going to know what to do with the information that my SysSBM is sending to it, okay? So from this test input tab, you can select the item. And again, we're going very simple here. Okay, preview the report. I haven't set it up to automatically log me in, but Okay? So we get into the database, and now it gives me IO1 at loc with extended description showing underneath it right here. Okay, now obviously, again, it's a very simple report. However, you get the idea. All right, so I know that that report is working. Close it. Now, since I assign this to the item group, when I go into items, I now see my test stock status showing up here with the icon that I defined for it. Okay, and so when the user comes in, they can now go ahead and use this report, defining the parameters they want. Now, if I created a range, I'd see a from and to item number, and so on, from and to location, and all that. All right, if you want to create a new one, you click New. If you want to edit, click Edit. All right, and it brings up the parameters for you. Okay, so let's look at, I had mentioned you can export that out. If you export those parameters you define, you can now select File, Import. You'll notice down bottom is a report selection, right? You click Report. You'll then point to the report that you wanted, and it will bring that in. Okay, and it automatically brings it in. All right, so let's talk about limitations for a moment. Limitations are, there are no processes that can be executed, okay? So what we're talking about here are things like EBX, those of you who have worked with Exploder reports and things like that. In SBM, those processes are launched from the XML. So therefore, you're not going to be able to do things like launch EBX. Some of you may remember Control Switch 5 used to switch the report over to use EBX, so you could customize that. You're not going to be able to do that here. Things like routing, so if you tried to drive like a load chart or a dispatch or a Gantt chart, something like that, you won't be able to do that. That's the type of thing. You won't be able to handle formatting. Okay, so everything as far as the formatting side of things, for example, item number, you're going to get the raw item number coming through. Custom fields, okay, they would be seen as an XML field, okay, if you tried to use them through direct access. You might be able to parse the XML, but it's unlikely. So custom fields with a direct access report's not gonna fly. That's pretty much the custom report side of it. There's one other thing I wanted to also show with regard to this. What you will find, and I'm going to have to log out, I'll log back in here real quick, because there's also a lot of times, and I know many of you have dealt with it in the past, you will go into a given report, preview it, and then actually take an export of that crystal report. And a lot of times what we found in the past, you don't get the format you'd like, because we're applying mask to some of the fields, and so on. What you have the ability to do in 4.2 is there's an export button, okay, for all of the reports. And what that will do, we'll just export one out based off the stock status. Okay, let's just browse. I should have a folder set up here. Let's go exports, and we'll just say stock status test. We'll save that. Okay, what this does is it exports the data that would be incorporated in the data set that this report uses into an Excel file for you in its raw format. So if we go in here, stock status, so what you've got here are 3 tabs. Okay, this is more company information. All right, then you get information from the data set that the report uses. Okay, so we get all item ID, the logs, we're dealing with stock status again, right? So, item descriptions over here, you've got your values. So it just gives you another tool to use or let the client know they have at their disposal to analyze their data. The extras tab just really controls the parameters you defined when you printed the report or did the export. And that is basically it at this point for the custom reports. Like I said, it is not even in beta yet. However, we wanted to give you guys a heads up and let you see what's coming, because right now I'm not sure how many of you have tried to create a direct access report. But when you do that, it's pretty limited from the perspective of the end user. You have to drive all that logic within the report itself. And we have a little facility in here that allows you to print those, but this should make it much more like SAE. And from that parameter standpoint, when you're defining the options that are available for the client to choose, you'll actually find that you have more avenues open than you did in SAE. There's a little bit more flexibility in there, certainly. So at this point, I'll answer questions as I can here. Just bear with me 1 second. All right, let me bring this up. Okay, so looks like Dana Stinson wants to know. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. You'll have to bear with me. I'm going through the questions. I'm not sure who's answered what here. So is there a common location for the custom reports to reside, much like a customization folder, or does each computer need the report? You actually have the ability to do it either way. So by default, the reports get stored. Okay, so let's take the default install path, program files, MySys. Then you've got a client in there, right? So the client has a reports directory. Okay, in there, the direct access reports get put in the user custom folder. Okay, because those show up under that custom reports group. So they would show up there. They'd be called 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever you call it. And when you launch it, that's it. No print UI, no nothing. Okay. Now they're going to go in the custom folder. The custom folder gets the reports that are actually going to utilize an XML. So you see that XML here? That's what this is going to do for you when you utilize this new utility, is create that XML, okay, in that folder, so that you'll have these located in here. So that's if they're in locally. If you want to put them up on a network, you can go under Administration, Company Options, and you can define a custom reports folder right here. So you could put it on a shared drive, point it up here, and then everybody would be able to print them. It wouldn't be necessary to bring them local to every machine. There is no limit. Joe asked if there's any limit to the number of report parameters, and there are not, no. Okay, let's see. Dana asks, what versions of Crystal are supported? The reports were designed using Crystal 11, and so any version that will allow you to save in 11 format will work. So let's see. Mark Cregan asks if there's a reference for the XML for developing in XML. We don't have a reference per se, and we don't support XML. What you could use as a reference, though, would be under reports. when you go into your client, there's a mireportseng.xml. So when you open that up, you're going to see how we drive all the standard report groupings and how it's creating those data sets, where it's getting the fields. So this would be a reference that you could use to then generate the custom reports eng.xml. So, the SPM is designed in such a way that if this folder exists, we check for this. Okay, if we see a custom reports eng.xml, we're going to go and grab that so that we know what group these reports go in and how to grab the data sets. Okay, so you could use reports.eng from this reports folder, or mireportseng.xml, as a foundation, run some tests. Hey, all right, I print the stock status, see what it looks like, and then go from there. And the other thing, too, I have, if you're interested in that, send me an email, and I have some general notes that I'll send you that can just basically cover, they'll cover, the ins and outs of how to do it and give you a little bit of direction. But again, we don't support it, but we do have some helpful tips that we could give you. Okay, so just send me a mail. That's Doug, D-O-U-G, at mysisinc.com, and I'll be glad to send that to you. So let's see, Pierre, could custom reports created have a sample to be showed on the reports view like standard reports? That would have to be done in XML in order to do that. So out of the box, you wouldn't be able to do that, no. Can the reports be user-specific or only available to a given user? In that case, what you could do would be to just install those on that user's machine. So that would really be the only way to do that. Or you could probably use a parameter in the report that was user. So in other words, you could create a parameter or utilize, let me just bring that up so that we can refresh ourselves. It's called current user. And then whenever they printed that report, it would only give them that user's data. So for instance, master transaction log only gives you current user's records, right? So they don't get a selection, but let me just bring up here, stock status, edit. So I'm talking about there under this UI parameters. If we went new, we'll just keep param1 just for the sake of showing you this. If I went current user and added that, then when they print this report, say it's master transaction log, it's only going to give them results for the current user, providing I put param1 in there equals the current user. So, so let's see, Ed Nedgelik asks, will there be a selection box to create the XML as in the new, just bear with me a second here. So will there be a selection box to create the XML as, I think you're saying, is there still a way to create the XML file? And yes, there is. I just didn't cover that because that's still open to review right now. But what we're doing is we're actually trying to enhance that as well. But again, it's not clear where we're going to get with that. However, when you're creating a new report, so let's go stock status, and we'll just click new. All right, so from here, there's a create report using the standard XML interface. And again, this is using data sets. The focus of this was more direct access. But, when you select this, it says, do you want to create a new report using an existing report as a basis? You could select yes. And this will actually assist you in making those changes. As you see it opened up an XML tab here. So what you're going to find is, this is an example of what that looks like. So this isn't really anything that we support now or that we will support. However, yeah, we're looking to enhance that as well, and you will be able to go that direction, sure. So let's see. Is it possible to create a preview? Oh, someone else asked about the sample. And the XML, sure. So that's pretty much it. Does anyone have any other questions? Because I know Scott is also here, and he has some information for you as well. But I'll give you another minute or so. Ask any other questions. Just like to say, I appreciate everybody coming out for each one of these and having patience with me. And you asked some really good questions, and so thanks again. Any other questions? No? Okay. All right. Well, at this point, then, I'll pass it to Scott. And Scott, if you want to take over and grab the screen, it is all yours. All righty. Well, it's good to see everybody here. Good-looking crew, as usual. We just want to, hopefully you've enjoyed this series with Doug. I know the feedback has been tremendous. We've gotten a ton of feedback on how much people have gotten out of this and how glad they attended, and how they kind of now see the big picture with MISIS SBM and how it fits into the ACPAC world, and why it exists, and what other accounting worlds it might feed them into, and why we have SBM along with SAE. So that feedback's been great. We feel like we've kind of crossed the bridge with a lot of people, and I hope you're all part of that crew. So what I wanted to talk about a little bit was just a little bit about what we're doing with our partner program and what's going on with SBM. And most of you should have received a little while back information on the new partner program. About a month ago we sent that out, and hopefully you received that. If you did not, if it ended up in your junk box or something, let me know. But that program went into effect March 1st. And for most of you, it's kind of an invisible transition. You really won't see any change in your benefits. Although if you look closely, you'll see there are, for some of you, greater benefits in the plan compared to where you were before in the partner program. What we've done is we've simplified everything, and we've made everything very straightforward. We're talking about 2 levels in our program now, as opposed to 2 different programs with 3 or 4 levels in each. The bottom line is, we've got a program that, we focus on providing, partnering benefits for you that you need, allowing you to learn our product, to make money on our product, and to get support from us at any level you want, pre-sales, during the sales, post-sales, technical, PSG, whatever you need. So you're enrolled in a new program, and like I said, there's 2 levels. Some of you are at the referral partner level. Those are folks who were previously SAE resellers or SBM referral partners. The rest of you are what we call a VAR partner now. And those are folks who were business partners, certified business partners with MISIS SAE or SBM authorized resellers. So that's the big change on the surface. And you'll find an outline of this program in your inbox somewhere, but also on our website at the URL you can see on the screen right now. All of you will see that you've got product margins that are the same or higher than they previously were. Also, we've made it, we think, much easier to get trained on our product. As you know, with MISIS SBM, you no longer need to commit an entire week or 2 weeks all in a row to learn the product. Instead, you can take it one afternoon at a time and learn module per module. Much easier to obviously schedule into your busy days, and much more affordable. All of you can take our basic operations training, which covers the basic manufacturing module in SBM for free. Whether you've taken it before or not, I would encourage you to
check out our website under the training schedule and come to a class. We hold that every month. And then the modules are all scheduled kind of as on a demand basis on a rotating schedule, and you'll find that list on our website as well. We invite you to sell either product. I think by now a lot of you understand, okay, there's a great fit for MySys SPM for some prospects, and for other prospects, MySys SAE is the best fit. It really depends on the company's desires and needs. Is the UI is the same UI really important to this company, or is not having to buy lots of LAN packs more important to that company, or are the new scheduling features in SPM more important than some of the integration things that SPM might not offer with ACPAC? But basically now, as opposed to being limited to one product from MySys for one one accounting system, now you've got two systems. Both have upsides and downsides that will integrate with ACPAC and several other accounting systems as well. Another thing you probably noticed is our new website, which is still kind of a work in process. There's no doubt about it. We're spending a lot of time working on the back end, so the front end may not be the prettiest picture you've ever seen, but it'll change. But one of the main things is you'll notice now that essentially there's two portals that people can enter through, and you can enter through the partner portal using the password that you see on the screen right now, MI partner. So what's happening with the products? Well, you've probably seen that 2 weeks ago we released MySys SAE and Custom Configurator version 5.6. There was some concern from some folks out there that we weren't going to release a 5.6 product, that we were kind of bailing on the ACPAC world, which couldn't be further from accurate. So 5.6 is out. It's downloadable from our website. Hopefully you've downloaded your eval and checked it out. This product offers full integration with ACPAC 5.6 and the new serialized inventory and lot tracking parts of IC as well. And that's kind of what took the core of the time for this transition. We followed ACPAC's suit on the technical support aspect and now offer support for current version and 2 versions back. So our users with 5.4, 5.5, and 5.6 can all get technical support, both email support and priority phone support, as well as our peer support on the web. One change we made a couple months back is all MySys SAE users that have a current subscription plan with us, so the maintenance is up to date, get unlimited standard email tech support for no additional cost. So that's changed, where we used to charge $1,000 a year for that technical support. All our users now can get tech support for free. If they want to have phone support with us, then they do need to buy a contract for that. So that part of priority support has not changed. So product updates on MySys SPM. We released a week ago 4.0.0.5 for MySys SPM. This is primarily an update with the service pack type update, but there were some small features put in there as well. And you can see details of all the changes in this version in the peer forums on our website. And you can see the URL on the screen. And that forum, hopefully you check that forum out and participate in it. Anybody can see this forum in a read-only format, but if you wish to participate with questions or answers, you just need to register with your MySys serial number. And we do see lots of people. It's surprising how many people come and just look around, but don't post. So feel free to provide your input. We'd love to hear from you. Our plans to release 4.2 is in Q2 of this year. So at some point in Q2, we plan to release 4.2. And one of the main things, there's actually going to be a fair amount of feature and functionality updates in this product. But also, this product 4.2 will integrate with ACPAC version 5.6. So right now, if companies are running SPM 4.0, they do need to run ACPAC 5.5. Again, with SPM, anybody who's running my SPM product gets free standard email tech support, period. If you got SPM and you're running the product, we'll support you on it. Another comparison that's been out for 6 months or so now is kind of an SPM and SAE product comparison. You see the URL on the screen, and this will show you, what things exist in SPM that don't in SAE and vice versa. And this document also exists in the product library in the user section, in the partner section of our website. So you can see that well. And this helps when trying to figure out, okay, which product is best for my prospect I have. And some of the things that you've seen over the last month with Doug, some of the things, about SPM. Overall, MICE's SPM has greater functionality than MICE's SAE. I mean, that's where we've been spending our R&D resources. And although there are certainly some things in SAE that don't exist in SPM, overall, I think there's no question that the functionality in SPM is much stronger, and certainly in some areas, master production scheduling, for example, among many others. And one of the main reasons that we even originally decided to integrate MICE's SPM with ACPAC, because if you recall, originally it only integrated with other accounting systems, was that, for years and years, obviously, we got requested to not require multiple ACPAC land packs or an ACPAC land pack for each MICE's user. In the way we developed SAE, we couldn't do that. So that was one of the main reasons we said, well, gee, at this point, why don't we integrate SPM with ACPAC, and we'll answer that question. If you have 10 users, well, it doesn't matter. You only have to buy one ACPAC land, or you only will consume one ACPAC land pack when running MICE's SPM. So obviously there's a huge cost savings for larger companies out there. MICE's SPM has full integration, as you've seen, with GLIC, OE, AP, serialized inventory, and lot tracking. So the exact same modules that MICE's SAE integrates with. And clearly it's just a different product. It's a different product from the ground up. Therefore, it has a different UI. And, that's a matter of feeling, I guess. Some people say, well, gee, I run ACPAC as my core system, and I want everything I run to look like it. And that's fine. MICE's SAE is the answer. Other people say, well, I've got plenty of products that don't look like ACPAC, and, I like the functionality in SPM, and I like the cost of it, so that's okay if it doesn't look the same. But you choose. As I've mentioned before, and as you're well aware, SPM integrates with several accounting systems. All of except one are Sage products. ACPAC, Simply Accounting, Sage Peachtree, and then of course QuickBooks. And a lot of companies out there are saying, certainly in the last 15 months, they're saying, well, gee, we don't quite have a budget for a mid-market package altogether, but we need manufacturing. So they buy MICE's SPM to integrate with Simply or Peachtree or QuickBooks, the product that they have now or they're looking at. And down the road, if they say, great, we've outgrown this accounting system, which certainly will happen if a company grows, all they have to do is buy ACPAC. We flip a switch, and boom, it integrates with ACPAC as opposed to their other accounting system. And conversely, if companies, for some reason, not that it happens that often, but it certainly happens, where they say, well, we don't need a mid-market accounting package, and we're going to move down market. Great. Move down market on your accounting, flip that same switch the other way in MICE's SPM, and integrate it with the accounting system you're using. Basically, MICE's SPM takes yours and ours market from the ACPAC world to the world that encompasses all these accounting systems, which is, monumentally a larger market. So the same reason a lot of partners out there are looking at different accounting systems to take in their fold. We've done the same thing. I think it's safe to say it makes good sense, and I think companies out there selling into different markets can understand that. And we certainly have seen that. In 2009, for every 10 MISIS SAE boxes we sold 60 MISIS SBM boxes. We saw a 6-to-1 ratio of SBM sales versus SAE. So I think it's clear to say that there is a market out there for manufacturing systems right now. And the question you might be asking yourself right now, the answer is about $11,000. And that's an answer to a question if you're asking, well, what's the average sale for a MISIS SBM system? And the average sale out the door is about $11,000. That's for just MISIS SBM. And then obviously after that, people add modules, they add users, they take training, they buy support, they hire a consultant to come in, and all that. And we're seeing a lot of sales, in the last 6 months in the $15,000 to $20,000 price range. So they're not giant sales. They're going to, set any records for your company, but if you can sell that many systems in the $10,000 to $20,000 sale, it's pretty easy to do the math, and the market is out there. And we're seeing a pretty healthy, steady movement in this ratio. Some companies have considered cross-grading from their current MISIS SAE to MISIS SBM, and they can do that. And they can basically do that by just paying the maintenance on their SBM. So some of the definitions of how to do that are found at the URL you see right now. And, some companies have jumped on it, and it made perfect sense. Other companies looked at it, considered it, and, with the comparison, they decided to stay. You choose, they choose, but at least know it's an option, and research it and see if it makes sense for any of your clients. So education on the product. Clearly, you see the importance of learning. You've sat through these sessions, and we appreciate that. If you don't have an eval copy of MISIS SBM yet, and you want one, just send me an email or give me a call, and we'll set you up. Everything's downloaded from the web, and we'll provide you with a serial number and the information to get it installed. So just let me know. Be happy to. Actually, we'd love to get you this product, and you can start checking it out and playing with it on yourself. Many of you on this call, looking through the names who are here, have already checked out MISIS SBM, so you're well aware that the learning curve is very short. It's a very steep curve because if you understand MISIS SAE, the core fundamental processes in what we do and how we do it are the same. Sure, there's loads of differences. The UIs are different. The buttons you click might be a little different. But all in all, the curve is very quick. The products are very similar products. As I mentioned before, we do all our training online, and I would invite you to come. Like I mentioned, free basic ops training for everybody, and then all the other modules are only $99. Like we've always done, if you have a client who attends a class, we'd be happy to give you a connection to that same class at no charge. And probably most of you on this call have checked out the MISIS SBM streaming videos. There's a library of about 25 streaming videos that are topical, and they are absolutely the best way for anybody to take a first glance at MISIS SBM. Whether it's you, a consultant, or a prospect, or a user that wants to come back and keep reviewing these, we get thousands of hits on our streaming videos, and people use this for a myriad of reasons, pre-sales and sales and training and reference. And if you want access to those, all you have to do is let me know as well. We can give you access to all of these streaming videos. They are fantastic. And, of course, the user group meetings, we have 2 user group meetings, one each week for MISIS SAE, and the other on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock for MISIS SBM. And we invite you, as always, to attend either or both of these each week. Insights is coming up. I trust we'll see most of you at Insights, as we do most every year. We're heading out to Denver for the conference, of course. We will be in the endorsed product pavilion for Sage. And we will be holding a one-day pre-conference training on Sunday. That says March 16th, but obviously that was a test. It's May 16th. So for those of you who aren't paying attention, you don't pass the test. But May 16th, it's a Sunday, and it's a one-day class. It's right in the convention center, and we're asking just $99 to attend. It is going to be on QME, or the Quantum Manufacturing Edition, which is Mises SPM for Peachtree. There is no difference in the product, actually. But this is the focus of the class. This is what Sage wanted to do. You know, we actually wanted to do it for ACPAC, and Sage really pushed and wanted to do the training on SPM for Peachtree Quantum. Okay, great. So that's what we're doing. But the bottom line is it's SPM training. Regardless of what accounting system you're running SPM with, the product runs the same way. So please come. You can register directly with us, or you can register on the Insights registration site when you come to the pre-conference training page. If you just search on the 16th of May, you'll find it. You can trim that down and search on Peachtree products on the 16th, and the only one that will come up is the QME training. I hope some of you will come. I hope all of you will come, but hopefully at least some of you will come and spend the day with us. Typical training all day, coffee breaks and lunch and everything provided. And again, it's right where the conference is. During the conference, we've got a couple sessions, one on Mises for Sage ACPAC and the other focused on quantum. So obviously Peachtree is a big part of this conference as well. So there's a focus on that. So that's what's coming up. Again, I mentioned the videos. I mentioned the training, the list of training on our website. Please take a look at that. If you want a copy of SPM and don't have one yet, just let me know. We'd love to get you one. And obviously, always happy to hear any questions. So at this point, let's see if anybody has any questions. Somebody asks if Mises SPM will integrate with MAS 90. The answer is no. We don't integrate with MAS products, and frankly, we don't anticipate integrating with any MAS products. At this point, we don't have plans to add any other accounting systems to our integration. ACPAC, Sage, Sage Peachtree, Simply, and QuickBooks are the accounting systems that we integrate with. Are there any other questions? Let's see. Do we have to cross-grade when we reach 6.0? Well, 6.0. The thing about that question is, we're not going to integrate with ACPAC 6.0 until all the modules are out. Like always, we need IC and OE to be out among everything else, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Q4 2011, is that what we're looking at? I think so. So we're looking at almost 2 years still until that's out. So until then, we're going to integrate with 5.6 as we do now. We have to wait and see. As you know, and you may know more than I know about their release plans today. It's going to be a time phase release, and they're going to integrate release pieces of it to begin with. We just don't know yet what's going to happen. We may get that integration for free. We may just, based on the changes they make, if there aren't major database changes or database changes, we might just integrate with the first versions of 6.0. That's possible. Ultimately, once all of 6.0 is out, a couple years from now, our plan is to have Mises SPM be the version of Mises Manufacturing that integrates with 6.0. you understand all their UIs are changing and all their database is changing and the whole product is changing and their development has actually been bumped back in reality quite a bit. And at that point we need to look at maintaining two code bases, which people have said we're crazy to even be doing now, but we're happy to do it now. Ultimately, the current version of MySys Manufacturing will be MySys SBM. So people, instead of upgrading from MySys SAE 5.6 to MySys SAE 6 point whatever, they'll probably upgrade to MySys SAE 5.6 to MySys Manufacturing, which will be a manufacturing system that offers smooth integration from what they have now to the current version that integrates with ACPAC. So the thing to know is that MySys SAE users will always have the availability to have a current version of MySys that fully integrates with ACPAC accounting. So hopefully that explains what we're thinking. Let's see, a question: if a company is on a current subplan with MySys SAE, do they need to pay anything more to cross-grade? They don't, other than the maintenance or the subscription plan. So in MySys SBM, we require that they stay current on their subscription plan. So there is no cost for the cross-grade. They don't need to buy SBM per se. They just need to stay current on their maintenance. If their sub-plan is paid up, so let's say, for example, there's an SAE user with a sub-plan on SAE that's paid up till July 30th, 2010, then that company can actually cross-grade without paying a penny. They can cross-grade and get SBM, and when their subscription plan comes due on July 30th, instead of paying the subscription sub-plan cost for SAE, they're going to pay the sub-plan cost for SBM, which will be less than SAE, most likely. So I guess actually, if they're current on their sub-plan, unless it's due the end of March, they don't have to pay a penny right now to cross-grade. Hope that answers your questions. I don't see any more. Please type in your questions if there are any questions at all that we can answer for you. How about Eva Patterson? Does Eva have any questions for us? I love Australian questions. Maybe even Mary has one. Somebody asks that they're concerned about losing functionality. Not sure, what that stems from. Right now, I wish we had the audio going. As you've seen in this, I think there's actually quite a bit more functionality in SBM than in SAE. There's no question about that. There are pieces of integration between SBM and ACPAC that don't exist right now, that do exist in SAE versus SAE and with ACPAC. So, if that is functionality, then there are pieces for sure that right now don't exist. But as far as functionality goes, the features and functionality list in SBM is substantially longer than in SAE. So I think the main thing, a lot of people had that question early on, and most of them worked through it by downloading, installing, and really checking out the SBM product. And I'd say a huge percentage of the people answered that question for themselves and crossed it off the list once they really dug into the product. But I'm happy to discuss that in private, beyond here. Somebody asked what they missed. They came in at 7 p.m., and I'm guessing they're in a faraway part of the world. What you missed was, well, let's see. If that was 5 minutes ago, you didn't really miss much other than answering some questions. If that was an hour and 5 minutes ago, then what you missed was all of the Q&A and the discussion of our current partner plan, some of the differences in the products, how you can get educated on MySys SBM, that you just need to let me know if you'd like an NFR copy of SBM, and the real, actually interesting and exciting part of the show, which was Doug discussing custom reports for SBM.
Well, and
if
actually,
you would like some sort of recap or overview of that, I would say send me an email, and we'll try to outline that for you.
Actually, Scott, this is all being recorded anyway, so we'll have a recording up there also.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So.
There was a question about a functionality. So, yeah, let me just touch on that, I guess. Thank you, Doug. That's just a reminder, I guess, that this session, like all other 8 sessions, are being recorded and are available on our website. And, Doug, I don't know if you want to help me with this one. Somebody asked about losing functionality in SBM, which I just spoke to, and then replied with RE exchange rates.
Well, I think what they're referring to is the way the exchange rates work. You have to actually go into the currency section in SBM. When you do that, we'll go and grab the current rates based on whatever that date is. There's no, you're not necessarily defining the list the way they were defined in ACPAC before, but I mean, you go there and visit it, and we do grab the current rate, current exchange rates. But I see she did. The one thing you do lose is if you use segmentation, that is not there. So, but
yeah.
I mean, the exchange rate is still there. It's just different. But it still goes over and grabs those rates over from ACPAC. So.
Okay. Thanks, Doug. So that one's still there, but yes, GL segmentation is something that doesn't exist, and there are things that don't exist in SBM, as we mentioned before, and this is one of them. And this is one that I know we've heard actually quite a bit about. So I don't know right now what the plans are for the future, but I would suggest, as always, if you have a request for anything in MISIS, SAE or SBM, you send that into TechSport, or you submit that on the forums, and please don't hesitate. Ask us, tell us what functionality you need in our product, and do it as frequently as you'd like, because that's where we get most of our best ideas is from you all. So GL segmentation is something you need in SBM. Tell us that in the forum, or send it to tech support. Let's see. Somebody asks how the maple syrup crop is this year. It's actually off to an incredible start. Cold nights and warm days lately have been producing tons of maple syrup. That is a very technical question. Somebody else came in 5 minutes ago, and I'm sorry if we had any of the times off for people abroad. But it's still 2 p.m. Eastern time. I just remembered one thing, Ian. Last Sunday morning at 2 o'clock a.m., daylight savings time started, which means we pushed our clocks ahead here by 1 hour. That would explain it, Ian. So we're very sorry about that. I guess we maybe should have mentioned that to everybody abroad. Somebody else asks if the sessions are recorded as usual, and the answer is yes. This will be posted on the website. So it seems like our friends in Australia that we pulled a fast one on you by not mentioning the daylight savings time. I apologize for that. We did not, obviously we didn't think about that when they pushed the clocks ahead this Sunday. So I apologize for that. Yes, maybe you can go back and go to bed earlier last night. Anyway, thank you for the great questions. Are there any more? None seen, none heard. I guess that means no. Doug, do you have any last remarks?
No, just thanks for coming, and I'm sure I'll talk to most of you at some point. So.
Great. Well, thank everybody for your time that you spent with us today and over the last month or so. We really appreciate it. And again, if you have any requests for the product, please submit them to us. If you have any questions for Doug, you know how to get a hold of him. And of course, feel free to pepper me with emails or phone calls as always. Thank you very much for attending.
Yep. All right. Take care, everyone.